Hello and welcome to today's episode of Velocity Kinetics. You join me at work. Briefly, I need to have a few minutes to think about something else, or because I feel like my workload at the moment, not that it's big or that I can't do it, just brain splitting everywhere, maybe a minute or two on another task, and then coming back to it might improve my efficiency. What's today's episode about? Well, we're starting to browse for the Everyman car. Although, from the video I put out the other day, we've lost a big contender in the Ford Focus. And a quick look at its price point and everything it offered, that probably would have been the replacement car for the Everyman car. Which, yeah, I think Ford have dropped a clanger on that one quite royally. So we got the budget of just over £32,000. That's quite a lot of vehicles we've got to play with. We've got virtually every manufacturer to play with. I am looking at everything. We are not discriminating between powertrains. We are not discriminating against SUVs as much as I freely admit my conscious bias. I will say conscious, not unconscious. My conscious bias against the SUV, and more of a move to, and my preference would be to favour something like a saloon estate. But I am also where we've lost options just because of how much car prices have gone up, such as BMW 3 Series, Volvo S and V60, for example. They're just not possible. I am also not going to be looking into their tax implications, because some of these vehicles fall under luxury tax in the UK at least. Now I will do a separate video on the luxury car tax, so I don't actually understand it myself. I'm purely looking at it from the perspective of the cost, or cost to purchase. And so we'll go to our introduction, and then we'll do a browsing on the internet on my Ubuntu laptop. So, cue the sting. Now. So hello and welcome to this additional bit of the video, obviously post-introduction, and you might think, why am I doing another introduction to a video I've already introduced? Well, the simple answer is, I did record this the other day, and I neglected to check the mic levels on here, and as you can see down the bottom, in this slightly trippy part of the video, that we're nice in the green on the mic. Therein is the explanation as to what happened. It was peaking, I couldn't recover it. There's no substitute for source material. And yeah, whilst I think I talked some good stuff and some useful stuff, unfortunately, just not usable. Audio's toast, and I wasn't using the secondary source. So I'm going to go through a similar process to what I did the other day, but we'll see how it goes. I'll try and keep the reactions as genuine as they were the first time. So we got a budget of just over 32. So, like I say, if I was going to start off, like I said, what am I talking about? Well, as I said in the version I had to get rid of, if I had £32,000 to go out and buy a new car, Audi or Volvo is where I would start. So we'll just start at Audi because it's the beginning of the alphabet, and we'll see what we can get. I don't think the A5, was it the A4? A5 will be possible. I'd love an A6, but that's just, forget it. And I think, I'm not sure, I can't remember where from that video where in the queues we were would be doable. A1's obviously there. A3 is probably going to be there. Let's start off with that. Oh no, never mind. £43,000 for a brand new one. No, It's hot back across to the A3 and turn off the A5 filter. So for the A3, it's quite a good starting point because you've got the nice hatchback. I've never been in one that I can remember, so I can't remember what sort of size dimensions it is. But based on when I've seen them parked parked and driving, they do appear to have nice dimensions to them. So quite a usable car. And then we've got nice A3 saloon. I know a few years back Audi tried to say that they did an A3 Avant, which is basically ever so slightly stretched the Sportback to claim it was an estate. Weird piece of marketing, but it is also possible they might do an even smaller estate and have the A3 estate, and then you've got all the way up to the RS3. So you've got a nice, in terms of the everyman concept, from top to bottom, so to speak. You've got it, at least in the A3 range. What else could we try? Q3? No. So how far away is a Q5? Oh, forget it. Might as well be starting with. Might as well be asking for twice the budget. So you'd be on the Q2. No, I think we'll stick from the everyman perspective. We'll stick with the A3 if we're going to go Audi. Audi. So let me have a look at Volvo. It's in my history because I've looked the other day. I think it was all too far away. So let's have a look what they've got. What do they do in the saloons? ES90. That's it. So that'll be brand new. That'll be electric. That'll cost a bomb. Let's try the Hour Cars link instead. No, that's not going to work. Let's go mild hybrid because that should be the cheapest. Oh, yeah, these numbers are coming back to me now. So the XC90 obviously just not possible. XC60 definitely not possible. The XC40 is surprisingly close to happening. The V60 just forget it. It's not happening, which is a crying shame. And for years shows how much Volvo have moved up in the marketplace, especially since I was a child. Volvo used to be they're not that I won't I'll say cheaper by virtue of the fact they cost less than the German rivals. They were still very expensive. Same with Saab as well back in the day. Saab were in terms of pounds and pence expensive, but less than the Audis, the Beamers, the Mercs, the Volkswagens. It's quite a shock to see that Audi between these two are the only manufacturer that offers something vaguely close to that everyman budget that we've got so far. We'll complete the German trifecta, I think. No, it's not a trifecta. I can't think what it is when it's four. But you'll see I've looked previously on odds ends. Uh, mm, right. Let's have a look at Mercedes. I think an A class would be within here, and the reason why I think about the A class is they did do a nice little, I think they called it another version of a hatchback, but it was a nice little, well-proportioned saloon. Don't know how usable it was. Just purely from the outside, aesthetically, it was a nice looking little car, and I wouldn't have said no to one. So let's have a look and see what we've got going on. CLA is alarming. Well, I won't say alarmingly, but surprisingly close to the budget. C class, that's a hybrid though. 46 for C class. I know you'd be paying more for the Merc over the Audi anyway. Again, the shooting brake surprisingly close, and it is a nice looking. It's a nice looking uh, car as well. When I've seen them in person, E-Class hatchback. There we go. A-Class is as much as that. The B-Class is out of reach. That's a shame. And CLA Coupe is just out of reach as well. That is majorly annoying. Oh well, right, let's have a look somewhere else, shall we? I just had to take a quick break because combination of I had a massive yawn coming on, and I suddenly thought, hang on, is the budget not 34? No, it's 32,348 is the budget we're working to. So those shooting the CLAs were very close, but it's just the A class, and there's not an awful lot of room left to play. So let's try. I'm going to go BMW. Now I'm pretty sure that if when I looked at this the other day, it was just impossible. And I was quite shocked at how much these were costing. Um, and what got me was more just how far removed they've become. Because I know years ago, I think I've said it before, in the Swacecast videos or in the Living with the Swace videos, at the time when I was looking at buying that, I saw an orange 3 Series used. It was a couple of years old, and I was very, very tempted by it. I've been tempted by a 5 Series or a 3 Series for quite a while. It's just funds have never been in my favour. But if we look at just how out of reach everything is, even just the 2 Series is completely out of reach, and we're just going into standard fuel now. So we're not even got to factor in the extra costs of electric or a hybrid powertrain, just a traditional petrol powertrain. An X1 is £37,000, which is frankly ridiculous given that not that long ago they were only about 26, 27. They were on the expensive end of my dad's budget when he was looking at them, but I believe they were affordable for him to be able to consider it properly. The 5 Series is just a good standard saloon and estate, 53, 55. The 4 Series saloon acts out the question. The 4 Series looks all right. My friend Mikey's got an i4. It looks very nice. Wouldn't say no to one. Obviously, we need to try one to confirm it. But based on the highly unscientific visuals, it'd be nice. 41 and 44 for 3 Series. It's just not possible. And that's so a background to the 2 Series. And actually, with the budget being 32,348, the 1 Series is completely out of budget. Now, I know, I know I've said, and I'm just going to reiterate here before anyone in the comments goes, yes, um, but if you bought used, etc., you could do better, or an XDEM or something. I don't disagree. We're not getting into that. It's just purely if you were going to go, I want something that's factory fresh. I'm buying something brand spanking new. BMW is just not there anymore. Let's have a look at the original creator of the people's car, Volkswagen. Let's have a look. Now they did have a Explorer models. There was quite a straightforward. So Polo is in there quite comfortably. Not a very good everyman car, as in if you're trying to encapsulate what the Mondeo did, just not there. The Taigo, I think it's just a slightly lifted Polo. The T-Cross and the T-Rock. The T-Rock's a bit bigger, so that could become part of it. The Golf would definitely form part of it, especially if they brought back the estate Golf. In my opinion, it's a very good car, and I would have one. It's just the price. In my head, it's just sort of what does that offer that I couldn't get for less at Kia or Hyundai or Honda, for example? And all it offers really is a VW badge. That's it. The ID3, also very nice. I was hoping the Passat would be in here, but I see they've done away with the Jetta. And that's a shame the Turan's out of reach. The Passat. Christ alive, 40 grand for a Passat. It's ridiculous. Sorry if there's a banging noise. I've got a bad habit of shaking my leg. Just it's nothing untoward, nothing bad. It's just a nervous habit. Don't know why I do it. Tiguan, out of reach. I'd happily include the Golf within it, but it is hard to justify a range of just a hatchback. But if you're going off the everyman principle of from the fact that anyone from the factory floor to the company owner could own one, I believe it's somewhere on this page. It's got an entire view of the entire range. I think it was here. So you got the basic one, and you're building up and up in price, and you go all the way up to your R lines and the GTIs if they still have the GTI. You've also got it in electric. I know the Golf did have some good diesels. So you see, you've got a nice range, but all that money for the bit I can't wrap my head around is if we went, say, middle to the top of the line. So if we said if we went R line, for example, it's hard to justify £32,000 on a hatchback. And part of my brain is going, for £32,000, all you got was a hatchback. I didn't expect Audi to comprehensively beat everyone like this. Another one I would like, as you can see, I was looking the other day. So if I go Alfa Romeo, I'd love a Giulia, and in particular Quadrifoglio. I'd love one of these if I could, because it's just a gorgeous looking car. The saloon is a gorgeous looking car, and it's just different. It shows that I don't know. Maybe it's just the Alfa Romeo thing. But from what I remember, the Giulia is far too, even if it's basic form, is far too out of price range. My starting price. Where's that gone? But it was only the Junior that was in budget when I looked the other day. The others are just far too. There we go. 28,400. 28,400 for the Junior. It's hard to justify when you've got the Tonale 38. So the Giulia is just well and truly out of range. Another brand I would go for is a Subaru, but again, they've moved their price points because when I bought the Swace, I could have got a Levorg, and I was very tempted by a Levorg. I just never got around to looking at Subaru, and as I've covered multiple times, I was in a mood when I bought the Swace, and yeah, not my. I still like the car. It was just not my greatest idea. But you see, we're too far out the Crosstrek. I mean, I looked at one when I was looking for my dad. The boots crap on it. Comfortable seat, comfortable interior. But the other thing I didn't like, I like the Outback and I like the Forester when I looked at it. But on the ones I saw, which were last year, so they might have changed the interior since then. It was all touch screen, everything, and it's just I don't know whether it's the OCD in me, whether it's just the logical person in me. Just finger smudges everywhere would be a nightmare with that. And if you've got children, whether that's you being a good aunt, uncle, or friend, or whether you're being a good mum or dad, or foster mum or dad, it's I feel like you can with the interior on the Outback that I looked at, you're going to be spending forever cleaning up fingerprints. Land Rover is just out the question from when I've looked a long time ago, because I believe they are now that I believe you need nearly twice the budget of the Everyman to get a Discovery. I mean, they're always expensive cars, always. Yeah, Disco Sport 45. That's come down in price actually. because when Sarah and I looked at them a little while ago, they were wanting 50 for brand new ones off the £50,000 for them starting. So not as wild as I thought it was going to be, but still a forget it. Let's have a look at Suzuki, see what we can get. Swace won't be an option, but we'll see. So we've got the Vitara, and the S-Cross. They've come down a tiny bit in price. £20,000 for a Swift just baffles my mind. I thought they were going to be. I thought the A-Cross was actually going to be a bit closer in price. It's not, but the S-Cross and the Vitara are two good choices. And it is an anonymous badge. I'd probably, from the Everyman perspective, lean more towards the S-Cross, but that is also from having driven one from my own perspective. Not driven one, sorry, sat in one. I've driven an older generation one when I nearly bought one 6, 7 years ago now, I think. No more than that, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. The pedal box in the Vitara is too small for my size, 10.5 feet, and it's a bit of a squeeze in the back. The pedal box in the S-Cross is much bigger, but the S-Cross has also just got a bit more of a premium feel for it, and you would think it for another 1,500 quid on the base price. But they are capable cars, they are cheap, they are reliable, and they do deserve a very good honourable mention. Let's have a look at Hyundai, because when I did the original introduction for this, I thought Hyundai would potentially blind it with the i40 or the i30, and I've got a feeling. Again, I looked at these the other day. I think they're no longer. I think they're no longer viable. New i30 Tourer. So they've updated the website since then. Oh, and they've gone hydrogen as well. Why has it got to be a bloody SUV? Let's have a look at the i30 Tourer. It's a tidy looking little car. Trims, prices. £28,000 with power seat adjust. It's not the biggest of the states, but don't let the badge fool you. It would be quite good. Okay, we can put the Hyundai 30 in there. It's a shame the i40 is not in there anymore. Let's have a look at the Tucson. I think the Tucson's going to be out of range. Where's the trim stuff gone? I think looking at that, it's going to be too out of range. So if we start off at the 1.6 turbo, technical. Yeah, but where's the price? Get that is all able to be specified. And yes, I get the. Is that just the optional extras pricing? Why being thick? Don't answer that. What about the Kona then? Trims and price. Why can't they? Surely, I understand a bit about web development and software development, a little bit of coding. I'm not any not a programmer by any stretch of the imagination. Despite developing an interest in it late in life, I should probably be more interested in it. Would be more interested in it. Surely it is harder to keep a website with multiple different tables, multiple different types of code. Surely it's easy to lift and shift everything between each page. Kona's cheaper than I thought it was going to be. Okay, and it's in budget. So we got two. I'd say we got two from Hyundai then, quite comfortably. We got the i30 because you got the hatch, the estate, and you got the Kona, which is a bit bigger. The i10, i20 are a bit on the small side. The Bayonne, I keep trying to say Bayonne as if it's I'm talking about what's his name? Shapeshifter from The Hobbit. I think that's going to be. Don't like the look of them. They look like a stretch 911, but I get the theory. So if Hyundai could do that to get us to, we're using a 911-ish shape. Why did Porsche screw up the Panamera so badly? Why did they make such a vulgar looking thing? Okay, well let's leave it there with Hyundai because we've got options. We've got options there. Let's have a look at Kia. Forget what they actually have anymore. Whoa. Let's explore the range. It's quite a. So anything electric looks like it's out of reach. EV K4 I've seen don't look alright. The Exceed, Nero Hybrid, Sportage. They are quite big. They are quite usable. That is a lot of car for £30,000. 30,800, sorry. So that can definitely go on the Everyman list. The Exceed, that's just a jacked up Seed. The Nero, yeah, it was an alright car. We've got options. We have got options. Let's try the French. I don't actually know what Renault are offering much these days. I know about the new, they're sort of reusing a lot of the old naming conventions. I do quite like the look of the new 5. Oh, I would not be saying no to that at all. Oh, the new Megane, Symbios. Scenic is just out of reach. They got rid of the Arcana. Captur, Clio, not a bad shout. Do they make a? Do they make an estate slash saloon Megane anymore? It's not as good a looking Megane as Meganes have been in the past, but it's also not. It's not bad. Techno Esprit Alpine. Can't. Okay, so it's just a hatchback, but it's still a good. Oh, the Twingo. Oh, the Twingo's coming back. I remember reading about that the other day. I loved the when they brought the Twinger back a few years ago. I loved the look of that car. It looked really cool. The one that Clarkson did the review of when he was claiming he wasn't, I'm ill, but I'll do it. Won't make a scene, but I'll do it. The Renault 4 could be a good shout, actually, looking at it. And it is electric, so we can chuck an electric vehicle into the mix. I've not seen that I know of one of these out in the wild. Let me move Symbios. It might be struggling to do the render as recording screen capturing with OBS. 460. That's a surprise, actually. That is quite the surprise. That could be a dark horse. And 624 liters boot space. That's quite impressive. Sliding bench for more space. Electronically adjustable front seats. Ooh, this might knock who I think is actually going to claim the crown. Or well, it's maybe not going to knock it, but they are going to potentially be. So I keep having to check my phone whilst I'm not at work today to make sure one of my colleagues is not trying to get hold of me. Okay, the Renault Symbios. Good. It's. I haven't obviously seen one or sat in one or looked at one in person. Just purely looking at it on this site isn't a bad shout. What do Citroen offer these days? I don't. Citroen's a brand that when I was a child with the Zara Saloon and Estate, they actually were pretty decent looking cars from what I remember. But we never looked at one. My dad nearly got a Picasso, or at least he considered looking at one. Citroen sort of just plod along. Let's have a look at cars. Let's have a look at all. So no compare. Oh, not the AMI. You got C3, C4, C5. I mean, could buy the Formula E car. Let's sort of go. The C4 used to be there. Used to be a reasonable hatchback. I believe it had quite a bit of success in rallying. I can't remember whose hand. Ah, I do recall in the very original concept list. I did think the French might do quite well. Didn't think they'd be doing this well. The only thing is, I'd say for me, Citroen at times are a little bit anonymous, and I would love a really good Citroen saloon or estate because that's what I prefer. There was Citroen C-Cross a few years ago that looked quite nice. Granted, again, I'm just going off visuals, but it wasn't a bad car at all from the outside. So if that's that, so could you go all the way up to a? Could you get all the way up to a C5? Or was it a C-Cross? I can't remember. I think it shared. That is not. That's not bad at all. Just on the looks. And as I've said multiple times, I'd have to drive one. I'd have to look at one. Based on the looks, you've got, it's well within budget, and you could even splash out a tiny bit more because we've got 32,348. Not quite another £1,000 more. You're in the middle of the range. What have we got in there? Citroen's just a brand that just stays off my radar, to be honest. 18-inch LED. Well, you're just saying the car's got lights. So it's got seats. CarPlay, yeah. Automatic dual zone front central. Okay, you're saying you've got that. Rear parking sensors. Adaptive cruise control. So what would you have in here then? 19-inch wheels. So the ride might not be quite as nice. Comfortable seat by the sound of things. 8-way manual driver's seat. I'm not quite sure what the difference would be. Rear bench reclining backrest and armrest. Proximity sensors, camera and electric. So, or am I falling into a trap that actually, yeah, you can get one, but to actually get anything that you'd expect? Because I'd expect for a vehicle that size, the size of the C5, I would expect it to come with folding electric mirrors as standard. You're paying £30,000 for it. Come on. The Sway came with them as standard, and when I bought that, that was a £23,000 car. I got it for mine for 21 because of dealer discount, but that was 2021, and £23,000 got me that on a car that is not as probably dimensions wise isn't is a bit smaller than this. So come on, manufacturers. But the Citroen has surprised me. What I did think originally was going to potentially take the crown was a Peugeot. As in, I just thought that was going to be the best French one, full stop. Um, and I thought they might do might do good, might do good with what they could offer. So if we look at all their cars, hopefully it lets us. Oh, it's not going to let us do it the way I want, is it? Oh, if I do that, that might get us where we want. So for me, you've got this is what I thought was going to be the king. I thought it was going to be the 308 because it's a damn nice hatchback in terms of visuals. I wouldn't say no to one, and the 308 Estate. It looks really nice. They both look really nice. Oh, they stopped selling the 508. Oh, that's a shame. I didn't particularly want to give it to the 3008, but that if that's the way it goes, it's the way it goes. The 208 might not be a bad call either, but again, if it's potentially up to that £30,000 figure, you've got £30,000 for a hatchback. To one of these, right? Let's have a look. I just want the price list, please. So I'm just gonna, if I got a pen, I can help guide myself down the web page with. So on the road for, so you're looking at about 29 for the entry hatch, and you got options because you can go up to the electric and the hybrid. So that's that. So what about and 31? So that's come down a bit in price since I last looked. 308 is a damn good shout, in my opinion. And I know people might say, "Oh, you're going back to this, they're going back to the estates and things." It's not. As I've said before, it is my bias, and that is what my preference is. But from what we've seen, there's not. The choice isn't really there. So that's okay then. So that's come out well. Now a dark horse. I keep talking about dark horses. Sayat for years have just kept plugging away quite quietly, selling cars, getting things done. Perhaps they've been a little too anonymous, but the Ateca is quite a big car when I've seen them. So if you wanted, I think Sayat might take the win. I would say though, if you're trying to get as much car for the money, I'd say the Leon Estate, which is just it for years. It was just the last generation Audi with a Sayat badge. You can sort of see it a little bit. I mean, they're not they're not bad cars really. I've never really looked at them because when I first got a car when I lived in Middlesbrough, when I first got a car, they were I had to rely on where I could get. I had to like go get from places I could walk to, or get the bus to. So not ideal, but that is that. So I would go potentially here. I do want to have a quick look at Toyota though, because I know some people say you're just going to find an excuse to crown the Swace, the Everyman car, and I would if I could. if it was the best car to get. But Toyotas are really shot up in urban cruiser, CHR. My godfathers had a CHR, the last generation one, the previous styled one, and he didn't like it very much. He couldn't get a dog cage in the boot very well. He had to flatten the seats. They couldn't get a pushchair in there and the dog cage. It was not ideal when they were looking after their grandson. Prius has gone up. That's a lot. I wonder what the difference is between the commercial and the. Unless it just means it's on steels. I'm assuming it just means it's on steels. But the Corolla is a very good shout as well. Good hatch, good estate, Toyota build quality, Toyota service money, and no one's gonna bat an eyelid. It's got that nice anonymity, I suppose, that the Mondeo did have to a point, as in it didn't shout about itself like it was a BMW or anything like that. It just got on and got the job done. The old champion, if we go to Ford, you're basically stuck with Pumas. When I was looking the other day, why can't all the websites have a nice view all vehicles facility? So you're basically stuck with the Puma electric, but it is electric, and you could go that way out the box. You got the hybrid Puma, which again, not too bad, I suppose. You might be able to pick up a tail end Focus brand new, and if you could, I would. And like I say, you got the. Has that just repeated itself? I don't know what it's done. Cougar's out of reach, and you got the ST. You got the sporty performance version as well. You got Teneo Courier, which if you've got a big family, that would be the way you would have to go because they don't do the Galaxy anymore. Stupid. I don't know why they got rid of the Galaxy. That was a good car. Bit of a tank, but it was a good car. I think Ford have dropped the ball on this one as it currently sits because the Capri's out of price range and it's just on a Polestar 2 chassis. And I'm sure there was meant to be. Is it a Maverick? Am I thinking of something completely different? Must be thinking of something different. I thought there was another electric car that they were meant to be doing that wasn't just the Capri, but maybe I'm thinking of a Capri and I've seen them in two different colours. I don't know. Let's have a look at what's it called? BYD. Now, something I was reading the other day reckon that you're not going to run into the same problems that you might have done a few years ago with the Chinese company coming over. They put in the money, they put in the effort to build up good UK services, so they're not going to. Whilst any business could just go bust, and you might be left holding the baby, so to speak, you might have a car that you can't service. They've put in the effort, so that shouldn't really happen. I will say I do find it odd. I don't know. I don't know. I just find it hard to warm up to these. If we go, let's have a look at the EV cars, just to because BYD I only know through electric really. I saw one of those for sale the other day at a Vauxhall dealer, and it just looked like a Smart 4 that had just been stretched. You can't even get your bloody website right. 201 horsepower. Seriously, how hard is it to get the stuff on your own website right? Can't even. Is this Ubuntu being weird? Slash Firefox being weird. And the scroll buttons don't work. Fantastic. Over the hybrids, then see if we get any more. Proving. That doesn't seem like a bad choice just based on the visuals, but how do I... Do you know what? They've peed me off. The fact that I cannot find what I want. Try, what's it called? Cherry? Logo looks more like... hopefully this doesn't send me to something pornographic. Well, thankfully not pornographic, but the domain's for sale. Jaku, that's the other one. Jaku. Right. The Jakus I've seen have always been enormous. Right, so let's try Theory being smaller model. I think it's the JQ 7 then I've seen. Come on. Let me go to the bit of the site I want to go to. Looks like a bloody cheese grater on the front. You can prattle on about your off-road DNA, but I just want to know how much it cost. Thank you. That could be I've heard mixed reviews about the cars coming over from China. Some of them have said they're cheap because they're cheap, and some have said they're cheap and they're kicking everyone's asses on the quality front. I don't know. I've never driven one. I do find the GQ7 quite an intimidating vehicle to be parking next to, or to see in my rearview mirror, because you could potentially have gone from driving a little Suzuki Celerio, gone straight up to a JQ7, which is a bit like going from a smart car up to a Range Rover, and I've been tailgated, nearly bumped quite a few times. So if if the 5 is that price, what about the 7 then? I'm trying to be too clever on this site. Just let me scroll to where I want the bloody... And the JQ7, I suppose. I mean, it's a big vehicle, but it does have a premium presence. You can't deny that. It does have a premium presence. It's almost like the new Hyundai Genesis and the Jeep Met. I haven't looked at Fiat because they don't do anything. Well, the last I checked, they didn't do anything in the middle. Jeep, just I can't say that the new people car is a Jeep. I just can't. Uh, nah, you can only have a Panda, the 500 or the 600. No, I can't do that. Now I'm gonna go to who I think. So I think Skoda are going to do very well here. Let's go to new cars and see what we've got. Now, so you've got a nice range across the piece. The Karoq, the Kamik are quite nice. You've got the Superb at the far end. Everything Superb, I think, will be out of reach. The Scala's a nice hatchback. Enyaq is one of the few SUVs I'd have. The Kodiaq was okay to drive, a bit weird, but it was all right. The Elrock I've not seen, but I think it's going to be the Octavias that do well here. Ah, that's gone up. Damn. When I looked a couple of days ago, they were 32 and within the budget. Or 32, 28 even, sorry. They were within the damn budget. Let's try it another way. Maybe I've accessed it the wrong way. Octavia Estate. From 20, there we go. From 29,470, although I will say I don't understand why it's not lining up. And it's won the Auto Express Family Car of the Year. Auto Express, bloody know what they're doing. Yeah, I think there we are. Ah, because it's starting off with the L right up there. Yes. So, do you know what? I think the Skoda Octavia is the new everyman car. Probably followed up by the Seat Leon, the Peugeot 308, and the Toyota Corolla. They are probably your new go-tos. The JQ was quite an interesting find, as was that Renault, the Megane, and the Stereo. The Citroen C5 was also quite an interesting find. But yeah, Skoda Octavia. I think you've got this. Because if you look, you've got a nice basic entry model. If you just want a big car to ship people around in and get from A to B, you don't mind what it has. You got your entry SE technology estate. Got a bit more money to spend, you can go up to the SEL, spend a bit more, tiny bit over budget, but you can go to that, not by much, as in it's not like we're talking is thousands by virtue of the fact it's about 2,000 over budget, but we're not talking thousands as in tens of thousands. And you've got the sport line, which also looks quite nice. So you've got quite a few different ways to do it. And if I hop back and see if I can find the saloon again, the classes as a hatchback, but it's a nice saloon, and you've got that all the way from 28. And if you didn't want a saloon or an estate, then you've got either your Fabia, or where's it gone? Or you got the Scala, which is a very big hatchback, and I nearly bought one. If you wanted something SUV-ish, you got the Kamiq. Do you know what, Skoda? You have taken the crown from the Ford Mondeo. I It shows how much a manufacturer that in my lifetime has gone from being the butt of the joke to, oh, they're actually quite good. It's quite insane. And I mean, whilst there are some newcomers on the block, like the BYDs, the Cherries, the Leap Motors, and the JQs, I would be personally, if I was to run to a dealership with my own money, I wouldn't go to them because they're just unproven, in my opinion, in the UK market. Don't know how they're going to last down the line. Granted, they wouldn't be selling over here as rapidly, and if they were going to fall apart, then there'd be all sorts of bad reviews about them. Um, but I have seen a couple of CarWow reviews about, was it Leap Motor? One of their electric cars barely stopped in the required distance, so it was legal. It just there are better competitors that stop faster. So yeah, there was that. There's the yeah, there are just so many different ways to go around it. You could splash out a bit and get the Audi A3 or the hatch or saloon. There were those Kias as well. The Hyundai i30 did look quite good, as well as the Kona next to it as well. Subaru, unfortunately, not in their BMW, just not anywhere near. The Golf isn't a bad choice either, but a lot of Skodas are built on Golfs. So if you've got Golf money burning a hole in your pocket, buy a Skoda instead. Save a bit of money. But the Golf was also a good shout. The Alpha Junior just does no. That one unfortunately suffers from my own bias, but it's just not very. It's just when you look at what you can get within the Everyman budget of 32,348, and looking at the web page I'm looking at now, Skoda. Um, you've got nearly the entire line. Like, so you've got the Kamiq, which is a small SUV. You've got the Scala, which is quite a big hatchback. You've got the Fabia, which is a smaller hatchback. You've got Kodiaq isn't within that. Sorry. You've got the Octavia, Saloon, and Estate. You've got the Superb, very close to being within budget. Not quite, but very, very close. And the Karoq as well in budget, which is not quite as big as a Ford Cougar, but it's certainly bigger than a Puma. Skoda I think Skoda are the best way to go with this. And I know if I'm in the money again to be able to buy another car, I can't say for definite whether I would buy a Skoda, but they're going to be looked at, and they will be very much consideration. Because because I nearly bought an Octavia. Granted, we had a falling out with the dealer because they quoted me the wrong finance numbers and misled me. But you know what, the guy has redeemed himself. Because he tried to sort out some things for me dad that ultimately didn't go anywhere. But nice guy, sorted out the Kodiaq test drive again. Very nice, very good. Like the man. I'd happily have a Skoda, and I know there's a Middlesbrough joke in here with it, Borough taxis and Skoda Octavias being the fastest vehicles on the planet. Um, but they're also comfortable. I've been in them a lot when I relied on taxis before I learned to drive when I lived in Middlesbrough. Uh, um, you know, solid vehicles. Thank you for watching this little mini series about the Everyman car. The champion at the moment is Skoda as a whole, and Skoda Octavia is the winner of it. And I know people go, "Oh, I've gone back for a saloon or an estate." Like, yes, but when you look at what it offers for its price, Skoda as a whole is the best way to go. Seat's not too far behind, especially if you want your SUV as well. You've got the Kodiaq and the Kamiq and the Skoda, and you've got the Ateca or Ateca, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, at Seat, as well as the Leon. So if you don't want the big estate, you've got the smaller hatchback as well. So, there are options, and the Skoda always drives very well. Very well, and there have been some absolute undercover rocket ships with V6 engines from Skoda in the past. The VRS series, just insane sleeper vehicles. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good Christmas. We'll see you next year. Don't know what else is going to come out over the Christmas period. This might be the only one in December, but if it's the only one, have a good Christmas. Drive safe, look after yourselves. If this is not the penultimate one, then have a good Christmas, have a good New Year, drive safe and look after yourselves. We'll see you next time.